Good evening, everyone. My name is Dennis Franks, and I have been given the honor to speak to you tonight about leadership. Kevin Buckman was the scheduled speaker, and just a few minutes ago, I received a call from him, and he needed to take care of some urgent business. So I am going to fulfill tonight's representation of leadership. And while Kevin and I have worked together over the past 28 years, it has been a great experience building a following and then being able to maintain the pace and create a series of success stories within our organizations to make it continue to grow. Throughout my experience in life, I've had the opportunity to lead in different avenues, both at the university level, playing sports there, and then on to the professional level in the National Football League, being elected captain of the special teams in the Philadelphia Eagles as well as the Detroit Lions. It is an honor to always be considered a leader by your peers. In our business, it's about becoming a great follower and again, moving forward to creating leadership based on the example that you set and the results that you have. So tonight, I've went back and I picked up something meaningful, put together a few things that I thought would be fun for you, give you some good lessons. I termed this Leaders in Motion because everything that we do as leaders is always on the move because we are the constant example of what we do. And it's important for all of us to remember that in the process, as we move forward, is that as a leader, you will always be measured upon the decisions that you make, the way that you perform, not only in this moment, but every moment, because you're constantly being observed. So it's important as we move forward tonight that we're able to talk a little bit more specifically on how we can become better leaders. So I thought we'd start off by talking about what are the actual functions of a leader. And I mentioned it or was alluding to it earlier is that leaders lead by example. What do you mean? Well, a leader is someone who knows the way. You've been there. And a leader is someone who goes that way and ultimately one that can show that way. And all of that really is based on setting the vision and bringing that vision to reality. And in the process of that, people start believing that they too can evolve into that vision to reality. And ultimately, you think about it, most people that want to become a success, they identify people who they admire who have already become that success, and they basically begin to do what that successful person has done. So you find this happening at all times, but think about it as unfranchised owners. It doesn't matter that I was successful before coming into Market America. When I came into Market America, I did not know how to build an unfranchised business. I had to become a follower, and I followed the gentleman that brought me into the business, and his name is J.R. Reininger. And through following and basically learning, when making the mistakes and learning through the process, I was able to accomplish my vision of what I wanted to set for our family and our goals. Now, in this process of a function of a leader, and in specifically leadership as an unfranchised owner, you have to understand we're building a team, an organization, one that is being built to accomplish championships. We are in this effort to become champions in what we do. And the beautiful thing about our business is that we all can succeed and attain the goals that we set if we're willing to pay the price to get there. So we have to become experts in the building of teams. It can't be just the single performance. And that's why I love this business specifically, because we're constantly reaching down within our teams to bring out the very best of potential in our followers. And so a huge part of what we as leaders must accomplish is to build the team. So that's why we start off, if you think about it, from our Getting Started guide, we start off by accomplishing step one. As we prepare to embark, that first real goal is our base 10, 7 strong that we do in our first 4 to 6 months. Now, we also have to get the resources that it takes to be able to be the leader that you become. And the resources are really supported by our systems that are provided by our enfranchised business development systems that we become very good at executing. We perfect the execution of the systems to the point to where we duplicate or imprint them in our organizations. So you set in motion something that carries in motion, which ultimately would be the success. And that's one of the biggest payoffs for a leader, and that is the success of their team in accomplishing both team goals while at the same time accomplishing individual goals. And that's really important too, both aspects. You want to be, as a leader, an individual who can help clear obstacles. And do we have obstacles in our way as we build our business? Absolutely we do. You know, what kind of obstacles? Could be simple obstacles, as simple as creating a list. People say to me all the time, I don't know people. Well, you have to teach people how to find those people. And sometimes you have to just give reminders that they know more people than they're admitting to. Other things that might happen are money. It might be a negative spouse. It could be just the fact that they don't have transportation. But then again, now in this time, unprecedented times, we have moved to technology to be able in the homes of most people that we talk to, simply by using technology. So leaders clear obstacles so that one can accomplish success. A very good coach of mine, Coach Vermeil, when we were playing with the Philadelphia Eagles, he used to measure success by the number of obstacles you overcame in the process. You have to have great conversation and interaction with your team. You have to be able to communicate with your team, not at your team. One of the biggest things that I've seen in my mentors have always been their ability to be at the same level with their team. But their team has raised them to a different level based on the respect that they've earned in the process of their success. There's a big difference between book smart and success from entrepreneurial success in actual physical actions. Some of the things that I share with you tonight are examples from the sports world because that's my background. And you want to be that leader you would want to follow. You know, think about that. You can't lead anyone else further than you have gone yourself. That was a great comment by Coach Mock. And his experience in winning championships really brought value and meaning to that, because it's so hard to ask something of someone on your team that you yourself have not done or weren't willing to do. It really plays to attending events. We encourage people all the time to attend events or attend corings or attend online trainings or go through certain actions. But have you gone through those certain actions? So be the leader you'd want to follow, and that's going to be very helpful for you. In addition to that, if you start thinking about those things, one of my favorite things that I've watched is track. I used to be in track and field growing up, not so much running the sprints, but the field events. But look at this picture. Usain Bolt breaking the 100-meter world record. Now, what's so impressive of this picture? And ironically enough, this picture, while Usain Bolt broke the 100-meter world record, second place runner Justin Gatlin and third place finisher Andre de Grassi both broke the world record too. But they lost the race. They never ran that fast. And in an interview, of Justin and Andre after this 100-meter dash. The reporter asked, Justin, did you know that you broke the world record? Andre, you broke the world record too. And Justin basically responded like, I didn't even know that. I was just trying to keep up with you saying. And what I love about that interview is that he wasn't worried about time. He was worried about keeping up with the leader. And if you stop thinking about the little things and you start focusing on what has to be done, you will be shocked on the accomplishments that you can make and the evolution that you'll transition from follower to leader. So transitioning from follower to leader can really just be doing the things that the successful people are already doing. Don't worry about anything but getting it done. So that's pretty powerful when I think about it. I also like this picture very much in talking about leadership. Now, this dog sled team always has to have one lead dog. Why? Once again, that lead dog is the pace setter. That lead dog is the reason that these people have made such strong competitions in racing cross country over snow, because the lead dog leads the pack, which creates the results that the team is looking for. And that's an outstanding team of dogs that basically lead the way across the snows. So again, every one of these examples illustrate how the leader is showing the way, not only knowing the way, but showing the way. And it's a constant thing. People ask me all the time, they go, Dennis, you've been doing 28 years of building an unfranchised business. Why do you keep building? Because you've got to stay in the game. You've got to keep doing if you plan on leading. I mean, here's the problem. You might have been good 10 years ago or 15 years ago or even 5 years ago, but what have you done today? So how are you going to lead the future leaders of this company if you aren't still doing what you're asking people to do? You want to just use the trophies on the wall that you've been there? But here's the sad part. You can take this equation, because when I played ball, it was several decades ago as compared to today's players. Big difference in pay scales, but also big difference in how large the athletes are today, how fast they are. Not so much their skill levels, but their physical talents, which advance skill levels. I think the skill levels were the same as they've always been, but physically, they become much more efficient than when I played. So again, things evolve and you have to understand. So let's talk about leadership creating the culture, and culture takes care of the organization. So leadership and culture, what is it? Well, culture is basically what your expectations are of the group that you lead. One of the things you might want to think is that, all right, if you're going to be part of my unfranchised group, part of the team, okay, everybody in our team who makes it commits to buying 3 tickets at each local. At every major event, they're always buying their next 3 tickets to the next major event. And so we start thinking about these things, and all of a sudden, that is a cultural. Also, building out base 10-7 strong in the first 4 to 6 months. That's a culture. That's creating a culture on your team. The expectations of what we do, the disciplines, the support of one another, the recognition of one another, the praise one gives for doing the things we're supposed to do, bringing people along. Culture takes care of the organization just as a winning team, that year after year after year, they continue to win, but at the same time, a losing team year after year continues to lose. That's the culture. The expectations aren't there. They weren't willing to make the difference in that organization via the culture. And the culture is a reflection of the leadership. So you have to set the pace on what you're doing. So if success requires talent, let's think about this for a moment. The binomial expansion develops talent through the team approach, skill and ability. You know, if you're able to open your mouth and speak to people, you're able to communicate. You can refine communication skills to be able to set appointments. You can refine the appointments by becoming more skilled in presenting what we do. Ultimately, we know exactly what we do to be successful. We know the basic five. We know the results producing activities. So if we understand all the components of what has to be done, then performance and execution matters. So think about this. If we learn our skills and we have our abilities, then what it comes down to is taking the action, performing. Okay, and in that performance, execution, how well you perform. But when you think about this, all leaders know this. Think about successful people, the failures that they've overcome, the experiential learning that they've had as they refine their skills and their abilities so that performance and execution was a natural. It was expected to be there. So again, that's powerful when you know the lessons. If it's skill and ability, get it, and then you have to take action to get to performance so that the execution matters. So repetition becomes important. You got to do enough repetitions to become good at anything that you do. Emotional engagement and passion. You know, it's really funny. One thing is to be excited. The other thing is to be passionate. It's really funny when I talk about what I do as my passion, which is being an unfranchised owner and helping people become successful entrepreneurs, I become passionate because what I'm really passionate about is the ability of helping people to maximize their potential. I think my biggest reward is when you get to that next level. And the fact is that the potential that you had internally is now becoming external. It means you're getting to another level. And it's often been said that man's human waste is that of his own human potential because they didn't have the ability to push themselves. Let's go back to the lead dog. Let's go back to Usain Bolt. You know, an avid follower just goes after the leader. And that's how they improve. Because ultimately, every leader is in front of the pack, but ultimately there's always going to be a new leader emerging, and a leader would always be happy about the new leaders that are developed within the organization. It is an emotional engagement and it is a passion. You have to be passionate about what you do. One of the greatest coaches of all time, Vince Lombardi, said something that says, those who stay will be champions. It relates to something that I utilize when I sign off on letters, and I say things like, stay focused, stay the course, all right? Because I know if you stay long enough, you will win. And that's what Vince Lombardi was saying here. Those who stay will be champions. Now, this is interesting. Listen carefully to this. We will win, and only 50% of you will be here. You will decide which 50% will be here. That is so powerful. Think about that. Think about that. Whether or not you'll be here to win will be totally up to you whether you decide to be here. I love that saying. I just think that is so powerful from a leadership standpoint, and there's an acknowledgement that not everybody will stay, but those who do have that ability and do have that passion and commitment will truly keep moving until they reach that pinnacle that they're reaching for. So let's enhance your leadership and understanding. All right, understand this. People do not do what they know. What do you mean? Well, I talk to people all the time that know what they're doing, but for whatever reason, they never do it effectively. So people do not do what they know. That becomes very obvious. What do you mean? Well, you know right from wrong, but why do people always do the wrong thing? We start thinking about these things on a regular basis But the whole bottom line is, if you know it, then why don't you do what you know? Other things are, people are oftentimes more capable of greater things than we perform. Totally, we are underachievers. Why? Because we have a tendency to be satisfied with our first effort. But how do you really know if it was your best effort? How do you really know that you evolved into the best version of you? Okay? Are we able to take the ability to maximize potential, pushing the right buttons? As a leader, I always found this totally fascinating from the coaches that I've worked with in my careers. And wasn't it amazing? How could a coach take 50 or 60 athletes and be able to press the right buttons to get them to do the things necessary for a team to become a championship team? And it wasn't that he was doing the same thing for everyone. He was matching the different motivations that he was providing, or inspirations or disciplines, based on the individual, how they responded based on that leader or that head coach understanding his athletes. You, as a leader of your own organization, need to understand your Go Now and franchise owners. What is it that they respond best to? How do you push the right buttons to get them to maximize their abilities? I mentioned Dick Vermeil earlier, my former coach at the Philadelphia Eagles. He had a saying that was very powerful I have taken with me. If you don't invest very much, then defeat doesn't hurt very much, and winning is not very exciting. So if you're a natural at something, is that good or is that bad? If you're a natural at something, how much better could you be at that something if you start putting more into it? Are you really putting an investment in your performance, in your ability to get better, to do a great job versus a good job? Are you satisfied with a good job? I don't know about you. I'm constantly pushing myself to be the exception or be the individual that did more than the other individual. I think oftentimes on why I am where I am today, it's because of my commitment to either do whatever was necessary to refine the skill to make me the best at what I was doing, or I just wanted to be the best, and I wouldn't let anybody else outwork me per se. But not everybody can do that. Not everybody wants that. But at the same time, these are things leaders think about, not only for themselves, but for the people that they lead, and that's a very important thing. So I'm talking about, let's become the best version of you. This is one thing that this day and age has too much of: distractions. So if you're going to be a great leader, you've got to eliminate your greatest distractions. Now, for some people, it could be social media. For other people, it could be video games. For some people, it could be reading books. I mean, it could be anything. But whatever the greatest distraction is in your life, you should probably look to eliminate it. Look also to root out all the negative influences. I think it's critical to surround yourself with like-minded, positive individuals that inspires one thinking, inspires one's ability to do whatever actions necessary to excel to the next level. Implement an anti-distraction system. So if you find out what your distractions are, what are personal reminders that you can think about. Maybe it's tying a rubber band around your wrist. I don't know. There are little things that you can do that will ultimately stop you from doing what you did before, which caused the distraction. Get active in implementing the results-producing activities and the systems that support them. Hey, listen. If you don't have your client base and if you aren't covering your overhead with your retail profits, how can you improve that? It could be simply just adding another major. It could be selling websites. What do you mean? Well, the retail profit margin is much higher in a website sell, or selling one of our Shop Financial products with Debt Shredder. You know, it's a much higher return. Now, it's a one-time purchase, Whereas if we're selling consumables, it's an ongoing repeat purchase, but you have to understand, what are you really trying to overcome, or what are you trying to make happen? So if it's not enough personally sponsored or building out your distribution, well, that means we have to take a look at, are we doing enough evaluations? And are we implementing the no decision close to get to that next evaluation? So again, we have to look at all the different things. We may have to redefine our purpose. You know, I know each and every one of us have a purpose, or at least I hope you do, your why and the purpose that you wake up every morning. For me, I call them fire stoking rituals. What do I do to get myself motivated? Simply, 15 minutes before the start of this presentation, I was informed that our presenter was unable to make it. So what do you do for your team? You step up and you fill in. Well, fire stoking rituals, well, basically, it was a matter of getting my head in the right place, because my day was going to be over, but now it continues. Why does it continue? Because I've got another opportunity to make a difference. Making a difference is what I'm all about, and that's why I'm here with you. And I hope this is something that's beneficial for you. I want to get into the zone. I want to get there to where I'm enjoying everything that I'm doing and anything that I'm saying to you that I can talk to you about. But whatever your fire stoking rituals may be, it could be pacing, it could be closing your eyes, it could be meditation, it could be certain words that you are and you am, and whatever the greatest performance on earth, whatever you're telling yourself, it's a visualization of what you're seeing. But I will tell you what, find a way to get yourself in the zone. And that's going to really take you to another level. And you set your timelines and your measurements, and great things can happen, because anything worth doing is worth measuring. Okay. And again, I love timelines because it creates urgency. And so that's really important when it comes to leadership. When you're leading others, you've got to create a sense of urgency in whatever you do. Jim Rohn, another mentor, an unbelievable individual that has contributed so much to so many. Very simple. If you want more, you have to become more. And that's where a lot of people start to learn about, if I'm going to make an investment, it's going to be in me, because I'm the one that's going to keep on giving and help you get to the goals you need to go. So invest in yourself. So become more. You can do this. Don't let people tell you what you can or can't. You've got to simply get yourself in front of it all and make it happen. You've got to see yourself where you want to become, and you've got to envision yourself, but you also have to understand what you have to become to get there. I think that's important. Now, here's something that happens with leadership on a regular basis, and that's fear. And whenever you're struggling on the inside while operating confidently on the outside, it's not unusual. Okay, it's not unusual. I will tell you this every time I get in front of a crowd. Every time I get on stage, there's a fear. The fear is not so much whether I'll show up. The fear is whether or not I'm going to be able to communicate what's necessary to give somebody in that audience that magic moment, that billionth of a volt that's going to move you to another level of success. Will I be able to allow you, can I connect? Can I give you that information that can make a difference, that will put you to a new level? The fear oftentimes that people have is this, simply saying the fear that my success was luck. And that is especially true with first-time leaders. Let me tell you this, in the beginning of my career, people don't know this, 38 years as a professional networker. My first endeavor that I started back in the 80s, basically in direct sales, it was $1 million return. And after 3 years and great success, the company vanished. The company went into a Chapter 11 and everything stopped. And as I went into the next company, the question was I lucky or was I good? That was a fear. It really concerned me, because maybe I was just in the right place at the right time and I'm not that good. And then again, I said, why not? Let's take another shot, because I'm all about swinging the bat. I'm all about getting up next time, let's see, let's take that test, that's fine. But there was a big fear there, so maybe the fears include for leaders inside, am I underachieving? Am I appearing foolish? Being vulnerable. Am I too vulnerable? Am I too emotional? Am I not being politically correct? All of these things come to mind because of fear of maybe not meeting expectations. So don't be uncomfortable if you are a leader and are you feeling some of these fears, because it's natural, and I want you to understand that. It's okay. You just got to keep going and keep rolling with it, because you'll work through it. I've been there. I've done that. I'm going to be 4 decades into this. That's longer than most of you are alive. But the bottom line is, just think about all the experiences that I've been able to enjoy, successes and failures too. So leaders work through it. They check their ambition at the door. They have their belief systems. You have your certain habits, and you schedule. How are you spending your time? All of these things have to be examined. I think everybody that's an entrepreneur has to have a certain amount of ambition necessary, but being overconfident is not necessarily a good thing. Of course, being underconfident is not a good thing. So the ambition that you have for success or drive needs to be just right, not over the top, but out there. Does that make any sense? I hope it does. Your belief systems are only going to get better based on the repetitions and the outcomes. The small successes are so good. Your habits have to be habits that support the results producing activities. Bad habits are the ones that give no result. Good habits are the ones that give you the results. So you want to do them over and over again, learning each time, getting better. And to me, scheduling is so important, because if you're working part-time, if you're working 15 hours a week, then you've got to make every hour count, and everything that you do has to be a great experience where you can keep going. All right. So leaders must lead, okay? And if you're going to lead, you're going to need to make prompt decisions for the right reasons. Set your priorities, qualify, recruit, and sponsor. Well, let's just say qualify and sponsor. My mentor, J.R. Ridinger, does not like the word recruit, so I'm going to pass on that. I'll just put qualify and sponsor. I'll have to change that, but I only had 15 minutes coming into this, so I'm here for you now. But anyway, let's talk about the fact that we live the values of our organizations, all right? That's important. What does that mean? It means that we have to continue to evaluate new leaders. We have to develop them constantly. I think it was said by Dryden Huddle on stage, where he said, what are we in the business at here as unfranchised builders? We're in the business of developing leaders. And it's so right. So you have to set the measurements for developing leaders and accountability. Does that mean being rude or mean or anything? No, but it does mean to be stellar in the schedules that you set and the disciplines that you keep. And we can't have everybody winning the trophy every time. I mean, there's always got to be winners and losers in whatever we do. But who are we really competing with? We're competing with ourselves. That's what you have to remember. So keep that at the bottom line here. So when we're developing new leadership, we set measurements and we have to keep accountability. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're going to lead and you're going to develop leaders, you got to keep them accountable in the process. And you can't always catch them when they fall. Some of my best leaders, I have had to let them know, well, if you can't get over this, then you should probably leave the business. Let me buy your product. You know, it was those defining moments when they refused to give up, when they had every opportunity to give up. And I encouraged it. You know, a lot of people always say, well, I lost somebody because they missed their Form 1000 and they purged and they thought that was not fair. No. That's just the wrong way to think. Leaders would immediately say, well, let me ask you something. What did you learn? Were you not familiar with that policy? we went over that policy. Instead, you become sympathetic. And now, instead of telling the person that they need to make sure that they learn from that experience and that this business is about distribution and people are always buying and you have a team of people around you, and that lost business volume is nothing compared to what you bring on. So basically, how are you dealing with your people? Are you treating them as future leaders, or are you giving them such nurturing that they never want to leave your side? You see, developing leaders is about getting people not reliant on you, getting them independent from you and feel good about it. The story about seeing that future leader getting in front of the room, showing the plan, and you being in the back of the room watching that person as you brought them along. They've now taken that big step. That's what we want them to see. We want them to see that big step out there. Deal with dissenting voices. Don't let people hold you back, and follow through with what you say. Leaders must lead, and that's something what we have to do on a regular basis. You know what? It's not a lot of company at the top. And if you're at the top, you're a leader in some sort, and you have to be prepared for that. So everything that you do will not always feel good for the people on your team, but it will probably be for the best reason that you do that with your team. So again, we take a look at these things, we talk about them. Some final thoughts on leadership? Well, I just want to say this. If I look over the past 38 years, what did I really learn? Well, number one, I respect the small steps. Daily activities matter. You may not agree with me. You may just look for that big account and you refuse to just do the business as we know it works. But it's really the small steps that are accomplished each and every day that lead to the bigger things that you want to accomplish. That's what I've learned. That's what you need to encourage. Two, keep the fundamentals at your core. Now, you may not know the sport of football, but anytime we lost a game, we always examine the fundamentals of blocking and tackling. Those are the fundamentals of the game. The same with your progress. If your progress is not where you expected it to be, have you done or have you implemented the things necessary? Did you call enough people each day to be able to book that appointment? Did you show enough evaluations? The plan is simple: 2 evaluations a week with a no decision close, and get people to lead you to their people. And in the process, share some of the products that you offer and that you're passionate about. You got to maintain mental conditioning and flush the negative. That's why we watch videos. That's why we listen to audios. Your unfranchised media player, that app you can put on your phone, is so critical to feed your mind constantly, because we need to keep out the negative. Me, I'm burning on the positive daily, 24/7. I think I dream positivity. I wake up miserably happy. My wife says to me, how is it that you can wake up happy every day? How is it that you can end the day happy every day? Why? I choose to. I've got this mental conditioning. I have brainwashed myself that I'm going to be positive. Okay? I'm going to continue to build your skills. Every day, you're going to work on something. Here's what my belief is. Don't work to your strength, work to your weakness, because you already have strengths. Can you imagine if you thought about the basic 5, and if you were really good at 2 of the basic 5 and not so good at the other 3 parts of the basic 5? Can you imagine if you worked at the weak side of the basic 5, like the 3 weaknesses? And when those weaknesses became strengths, you would be strong across all 5 fronts of the basic 5. You see, I don't agree where people have to work to their strengths. I believe in this business you work to your weaknesses, because once your weaknesses come up to your strengths, you've got a complete game. A complete game brings you to the championship, and that's what it's all about, folks. Continue to build your skills. Stay focused, stay the course. This program works. This unfranchised business development system develops success, both financially and through personal leadership. And if you believe that you are a leader, then become what you believe. Thank you very much for your time tonight. I'm going to just check real quick if there's anything that I can maybe answer or speak to. All right, let's see, Tiffany. How do you work with always being professional to the point that you don't know just how to make friends anymore? Okay. You know what? Sometimes I just don't talk. You know, it's funny. I talk so much when I work that when I'm done working, I just talk. I don't talk very much. I just sort of like hang out, laugh, and let other people entertain me. Once again, you just got to watch out for that. All right, let's see. He had some personal business that came up. Yep, he sure did. All right, fantastic. Thank you very much, Freddie in New York. All right, we're good. All right, let's see. Just moved to a different city, a state because of the virus. Well, Marjorie, the great news is I have to tell you a story. I just moved here. It'll be about a year and a half. And I didn't know anybody in this community. So you know what I did? I smiled a lot. I said hello. I went for walks. I joined a local health club, you know, all of the different things. But even now, it doesn't matter where you've moved to, because with technology and our Zoom magic, you can reach anybody in the world. I just got done doing a seminar with Ted and Emily. They're executive field vice presidents. They've built now in 6 of the 8 markets. They are amazing people and they have fun. They like to travel and they actually work off of social media and go to countries and just meet people and say hello. So I just want you to, you know, think about that. Now, again, how do you motivate somebody? Let me just say this, Jessica. How do you motivate somebody who's not focusing on their goals? They're not ready to be motivated, okay? Does everybody hear that? If somebody can't stay focused on accomplishing what they've set as their goals, then they really, it's not that important to them. So remember that, okay? Just know that. Don't feel bad about it. You just got to keep going, all right? All right, so I just want to say this to you. I have never been more excited about doing this business as I am right now. Has it been easy these last 8 weeks? No. I've worked, we've done more work in these last 8 weeks, I think, that I've done in a long time, and I've been doing this a long time. You know why? Because more of you are working, and we get a better opportunity to support each of you as you grow. Listen, be the best version of yourself. Don't be afraid. Set a plan down. I mean, if you want to contact 5 people tomorrow, then contact 5 people with the simple question, either to sell a product or share a product benefit, or basically share a business and see if they learned anything from going through this pandemic. You know, how would a second income would have been? Are you familiar with the term residual income? All of these things, but you have to lead. You can do this, all right? So get that going. All right, so everybody, thank you. I will see you at the top. Why do I know that? Because you're going to stay focused, stay the course, and I look forward to it. Make it a great day and be your best version of yourself.